4440981 0809 You can also catch us on the live stream out there on YouTube. Yes, we're streaming at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Okie dokes. And joining us this evening to have multiple conversations, as it were, because so many different things to talk about, is Oler Oladele. She is the founder of the Money Wit Club. Ola, great to have you on once again on the Marketplace right here on Smooth 98.1.
Thanks for having me, guys. Some fun with me.
All right, Ola. So, like I said earlier, a couple of things that have been going on, a couple of updates, and this particular affinity for the number 6. But I will get there. I will get there in a couple of minutes. Let's start with the federal government removing VAT on diesel for 6 months. I heard that, and okay, well, 6 months to start with. And the first thing that came to my mind is, okay, after 6 months, what happens? That's the first thing that came to my mind.
I don't know. Like literally after 6 months, nobody knows, right? There's been so many things that have been hinged on 6 months, and you're wondering, is there something that they know that we don't know about this
the number
6 months?
6?
You know, because it just feels like, if you want to push the can forward and have some breathing space, like you do, like maybe a year, but there just seems to be this 6 months moving target, right? But I think it's good from the angle of the fact that at least they're just trying to do what they can. The diesel market has fully been liberalized. So except you want to bring in a subsidy, you have to allow the markets move as they should or as they want to. So the only thing that the federal government has control over is the taxes that they would ordinarily have taken from diesel payments and stuff. So I guess for them, it's more of, okay, what can we do to slow down this rise in prices? But then we know that if they don't control FX, they obviously have no control over crude oil prices. But if FX still continues on this spiral towards heaven, the VAT has no impact. Do you get? It will be something that, what impact would it have considering the bigger picture? But there's a 6 months thing. Like let's hope. We're all hoping and praying for the best as a nation. So maybe there's some magic that our guys are going to pull on us in the next 6 months, and we are here for it. Positive magical.
I like what you said, positive magic.
Well, it has to be positive.
Yeah, Ola, you would recall that the NLC and the Trade Union Congress have been threatening to go on strike from tomorrow. That's on October 3rd. And this was talked about last week, and then they said, not this week again, we'll push it till October 3rd. And it seems like this resolution to take the VAT off at least for 6 months is it's one of the resolutions that they came to at their quote unquote emergency meetings. Always an emergency meeting. So at the end of the day, is this going to make a real difference? Because like you said, it just seems as if, okay, the can is being kicked further down the road. Let's buy ourselves some time, and then when we get to that point, we'll but the thing is, shouldn't it be a function of, we're here right now, we're going to extend this for 6 months, and then at the end of 6 months we're going to do this or that's not okay, we'll get to 6 months from now, and then we'll begin to have this conversation. Okay, we're here again, all right, what next? Crickets.
Ideally, you said it, that's the ideal, right? In fact, I don't even think you should be waiting for 6 months. I think you should actually set that 6 months target, but start working on something such that in 4 months' time, you can actually say, okay, even if we have to we have to put back this tax, or we have to stop the 25K or whatever it is that the stopgap is, we have figured ourselves out, right? So it's one of those things where I choose to be optimistic and say that maybe there's something that is coming, because it can't just be that we are pushing the can forward. Like it will be ridiculous, right, for us to just be pushing the can forward. We've been pushing this can.
We've been pushing and pushing this can. It can't get tired of even getting pushed.
I know, right? But this one is so blatant. This one is not, there's sometimes when silence is bliss, like you're just quiet and allowing things to float.
Sorry.
There's that. But then there's when you now officially say 6 months, when you officially say, when you begin to say those official things, then there's expectation that, okay, you have a plan of some sort that would make sure that we don't come back here. It will be too obvious, and so I'm hoping, that's why I'm saying I'm being optimistic that there's something coming. We might not see it, but there's something coming that is going to like calm things down, right? That's my own hope.
Well, something had better come, because
something.
if going with this, just push it down the road and then just act like nothing is going on. That woolly mammoth or mastodon, not elephant, is right there in the corner of the room staring at everybody in the eye. It's not an elephant anymore, it's a mastodon or a mammoth at this point in time.
Yeah.
So let's wait and see. I mean, before 6 months, let's wait and see if we're going to get further updates on the way forward.
Sure.
All right, still talking 6 months in and all whatnot. Let's even start to analyze the president's Independence Day announcement. And then some people were asking lots of questions.
As expected.
So, in the next 6 months, well, the average low-grade worker shall receive an additional 25,000 naira per month. So my question is, what impact will this actually have? And also, it actually applies to federal, is it that it actually applies to only the federal workers, or will this be spread across board? And most especially, how long will this actually be? Because we're talking about 6 months right now. Is this going to be the same 6 months, or is it going to be longer? Or will they do it after 6 months?
It seems 6 months, and then the question still comes up again. So after 6 months, like, can you imagine they increase your salary for 6 months, and then in the 7th month they say they drop it back? Like, how? It's just one of those things where, like, I wonder what the plan is. But this one, I don't know, right? It's one of those interesting things where you just go and keep it moving, right? Also from the angle of the fact that, okay, how many civil servants do we really have? How many federal civil servants do we really have? Because I mean, if the federal government cannot say that for every state. Not every state can accommodate an additional 25K increase in salary. Right. So it definitely is for federal staff and it's for a certain band. But I mean, there's some news and updates on that we might want to unpack later. Right. But the fact is, how many civil servants do we have in Nigeria compared to small businesses, right? Compared to private sector workers. So I mean, what impact can it really have apart from just push inflation, if at all? Or I mean, and even if you think about the amount, so 25K times 6 is what? Half of 250K, Abby, half of 300K ish. That's like 150K, Abby. So what 150K is that not school fees? Is that not, do you understand? Like it's almost like if you're under pressure, it's just going to, like, maybe you can't even balance out, right? It's just, oh, thank God the money came type money. Do you understand? Right. And so in terms of if you put in the context of how high prices have risen, generally, I don't think it's significant. Of course, by the time they say how many staff are going to benefit from it, it might come out to a significant amount as it in total for the government. But for an individual impact, it's almost like a waste of money. Like, you might as well just go and do something that would affect, that carry that money and do something that maybe invest in something that can affect a larger amount of people, larger number of people. But I mean, in terms of impact, it's quite an interesting approach, right? Also bearing in mind that after 6 months, are you really going to come and touch my salary? That would be really tough.
Again, that's another question that's begging for answers.
6 months.
But Ola, looking at this approach, I mean, like you have said, sharing these monies or distributing these monies, at least I get the idea behind it. It's just okay to help people, to kind of cope with what's going on and so on and so forth. But really, 25,000 per month for 6 months isn't really that much, to start with. It's not really that much to start with. And how better do you think these monies would have been served in order to have a far-reaching effect? Because as it was said, this is just for the federal level. it doesn't cover every working person in Nigeria. And of course, just as you mentioned earlier, we have a lot of people in the private sector, a lot of people who are in business, a lot of people who are even working for maybe companies or corporations, but they're earning even less than minimum wage. I mean, don't they fall into that bracket of people who need those monies?
Who need, exactly. To be honest, right, I think there's work that can be done without spending money. Right? You have civil servants that are in charge of the processes that we complain about when we say ease of doing business.
Right.
There are civil servants who are already collecting salary. That if they can just be made to do their jobs, incentivized to do their jobs, or in fact, when I say incentivized, I don't, yes, it can still be monetary, but it could be after the fact. You know, the way your salary is fixed. So whether you perform or you don't perform, you get your salary. So it can't be a salary thing because salary is fixed. But if, for example, Nigerian Immigration Service gets that whatever that, okay, we have 1,000 applications. If you're able to do 1,000 applications, means that 1 million in revenue is going to come into the government. After that 1 million, you guys can share 50K, right? But you must have done the work. So you're incentivized to actually push out passports.
To be more productive.
To be productive, right? And that's the kind of thing, such that a lot of things that we are using money to fix are things that money cannot fix, right? If there's a problem with ease of doing business, it's not money that is going to fix. There's a culture problem. There is a productivity. There's so many of those softer issues that somebody's being paid salary already to do those things, right? So that's even the first thing. Then the next thing is, what are the far-reaching things that we can do? Roads. For example, if you're driving in Lekki, there's so much traffic. And what is the cause of the traffic? Potholes. Do you understand? So you know the days when before the rain comes and sweeps it all away, right? When they have patched it and it's good, you know your drive time. When the rain comes and sweeps it all away, right? You know your drive time. Imagine the amount of fuel you will spend. Imagine the bus transport, because the bus driver cannot go 2 times. He can only go once. Or maybe we have done 3 times. Imagine the people at the bus stop that will get to work late. Imagine
all the man hours.
Exactly. Those kind of things are things that are far-reaching. It's not just one person you're dashing 25K, right? It's something that if everybody benefits, if you do it, everybody benefits from it. People can now use that time to think and create solutions. Do you understand? And maybe do 2 jobs, or do something else that in the end can pay taxes and make more money for the government. But we have to think broader than this micro dashing people, putting money in people's hands. It does not work.
I totally agree.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of people have had these arguments about these schemes of cash transfers and so on not being the way forward. They're just papering over the cracks, as it were. There are much deeper rooted issues that need to be dealt with, and if those issues are dealt with, then we're going to see some development and a lot of these hardships being taken out of the equation. We're going to continue the discussions on the other side of this quick break, Ola. It's actually a very interesting one. I was still going to be talking about President Tinubu's address and just unpacking certain things, but that'll be on the other side of this break. Lagos, we're going on this break, and we'll see you all on the other side. This is Marketplace right here on Smooth 98.1. Things are happening. This is no longer. All right, Lagos, welcome back to the second half of the marketplace right here on the Smooth Drive on Smooth 98.1 with Joy and I. And of course, we're still having this conversation with Oler Oladele. She is the founder of the Money Wit Club. So Ola, before we went on that break, we're talking about President Tinubu's address. But before I go further, I need to go to WhatsApp to take a couple of messages here. And for all our listeners, you can send your messages in via WhatsApp on 0809 440 981, 0809 440 981. This is coming from Ikedia in Ikeja, who says, they don't have a plan. Or this is coming from the same people who thought the 3 weeks after subsidy removal and floating the Naira, Nigeria will become richer than Dubai. The same people who said 25k minimum wage in the morning and 35k in the evening now post and they post una. Oh wow. Who else is talking to us here? Abbas says, it appears like you guys in the private sector are receiving huge salaries, going by how you said 25k is not much. In public service, where we receive little for every step we move up, that is big money for us. And cash or money is another form of motivation for workers. We will always prefer to receive the money and expect government to also focus on doing other things that will be beneficial to the general public. We won't expect government to push our cash to just providing buses that will convey us to work. Everything must be balanced. Now that's actually an interesting approach, because if the government is doing this on one hand, would they also still be capable of doing the other things that they should be doing in order to create a good environment for people to thrive at the end? Because they're already spending money on that front. Is it also going to be doable to do other things that they need to do?
Ideally, they're supposed to be able to. They in fact, not be able. They are supposed to do that, right? And to be clear, the conversation is not that they shouldn't, or do you get? It's not like the civil servants will not value that, right? But it's more like there are so many things that you're spending money for that if you add it up, is more than the 25k they are putting in your pockets, especially if you're in Lagos, for example. Maybe if you're a federal civil servant in like the hinterlands of one state, right, then it might be of value. But if you're in Lagos, there are so many things you are spending money on that if the government was doing their thing effectively, if you add up the total bill you're spending, like it can be like maybe 40k every month, such that when they give you that 25k, right, you think you are collecting cash because we've gotten to that point where, see, let me just take what I can get, and it's very valid, right? But if they were doing their jobs, think about it. Why are you paying for private school for your child? Why are you buying table and chair? Why are you buying books? Do you understand? Why would you go for healthcare and then you now have to gather 100k? Do you understand? Or you have to buy medication and stuff. These are things that we have come to the point where we've taken as normal. That is what you do. But if the system was working as a collective, right, we won't have to spend this amount of money. Why do people drive from Lekki to Ikoyi to drop their children in school? In other climes, it doesn't happen. You will go to a school in your area and the school will be good. So you've taken off traffic, you've taken off fuel. Why are you buying generator? Why are you doing fuel? Why are you paying for water? You think those things are your normal bills, but they're not really normal in other climes, right? They shouldn't
be.
They should be things that your tax should cover, right? Yes, at least you should have power running. Let's say that you switched it on, or you switched on your AC. Do you understand? So we're not saying that they shouldn't do it. See, anybody that gets their 25k, collect your 25k in peace and enjoy it. I know that, yes, you benefited something. But the fact is that the problem is bigger than that 25k. And if they can deploy that collective, the sum of the 25k into something that can move everybody forward, it is better for everybody. Because collect that 25k, your cousin that knows that you're a civil servant will come and meet you. You understand? They will come and meet you because they know you collected money. You can't say you are broke. If you were broke last month, at least you have 25k extra this month. Do you understand? So those are the things, or school fees, things like that.
Okay, Bassa sent a follow-up and says, but those things mentioned by the guest as Ola are not immediate measures that Labour is clamoring for. They are long-term and one that government should do going forward.
Yes. We are saying the same thing. In my own opinion, we're saying the same thing. I think the conversation now is the 6 months we are talking about. You are doing something for 6 months. What's going to happen on the 7th month? Right? Or is it going to be permanent? Or are you just sliding it in and then you now say, okay, we'll have to do it, going forward. Do you understand? Okay. So the question is, okay, we are putting in the context of 6 months that, okay, this thing you're doing for 6 months. What is the plan after these 6 months when there's like a bigger fish that you're supposed to kill and fry and everybody will eat? Do you understand?
Yeah, because right? Because you can equate this with a situation where, let's say, for example, there's a particular road that people ply, and then the road is faulty. You can't drive through. So for the period where that road will be under repair, another road is opened for people to go through. So it then becomes a question of how long will it take to repair the original road?
Yes.
And then you hear, 6 months. Okay, at the end of the 6 months, are we going to go back to using the road, or are we going to still keep on using this temporary road that we're on? So do we get to the end of 6 months and then we don't get a definite? I think that is the argument or the conversation we're having here, that okay, it's a good thing to have a stopgap measure, but after this 6 month period, do we need to review the stopgap measure, or are we going to be in a position where we can then say, okay, we have solved a part of the major problem, and then let's move forward.
Exactly. That ability is a good summary of it all.
Right. Well, so still talking about the president's address, talking about the rolling out of the compressed natural gas buses across the nation. Now, what opportunities can come out of this, and what should people be doing to position themselves for this particular opportunity?
So, I mean, the good thing about it is that along with the announcement was an announcement saying that they are going to set up training facilities for people. And it pretty much reminds me of when the telco started. And there are people that are doing recharge card, there are people that are fixing phones, and then there are now people that were training people to fix phones and stuff. Now, that is how it could be, because it could literally become an economy in itself, right? An ecosystem where there's an end-to-end, people get trained to do everything in the whatever, including the people that will sell the gas, the people that would do the adoption or the adjustments and stuff. But the question really that makes it different from telecoms is, how good would the adoption be? Like literally, are you saying that your car now, you go and drop your car that you managed to have? You know how much a new car is now. You now allow them to change it, and then you now hear boost in traffic, explosion. You understand, right? So who is going to be it's a fact, right? Like it's what's it called? It's testing. Like I don't know. Are there people that have done it, like converting? And you have to allow people to go first and see that it works, and see that it works well consistently in Harmattan, in rainy season, and see that it works before you now say that the only car that I have, I would expose to this. I'd rather just manage it. Let me managing my fuel. Let me take bus when I'm tired. There's no money ahead. Do you understand? But it's something that I'm not sure how well it will be adopted. And if it's not well adopted, then even your positioning can be a waste in the end. It might just be like one of these exciting things. There's news around it, and then after a while, it just dies a natural death. So it's one of those binary things, I think.
Interesting. Okay. Before we start to get into other things, there's also the talk about employment and urban incomes, especially with providing investment funding for enterprises. I want to know, how can this actually work?
So this one, I just felt like what came to my mind was why. I think one of the things that I think we all agree is that if you find a good project, there's investment. The way people get money lost in Ponzi schemes, the way people, when you hear all those things and the amounts that they cut away when they disappear, you realize that people are looking for viable investments. Now, so I don't think that, and it's even in a bad economy, more people are looking for good investments that bring them return, right? So I don't think our problem is actually funding. I think our problem is more around being sure that
Finding the right
will thrive.
investments.
Exactly. Our problems around law of contracts. So if you default, if I give you an investment, if I give my money as an investor and then you disappear, what would happen? Would it be that they caught you in the police station and then the next day you are out and we can't explain why? Or, things like that. There's a bigger issue when it comes to investments than government funding. Such that we know that with government funding, it's almost like I'm a Nigerian, I'm a citizen. What would you do to me now? If it goes bad, it has gone bad. You understand? So in this time and season where there's scarcity of funds as a nation, where we have little resources compared to our needs, I don't think we need to. This is like second level investment. What we should be investing in the things that would make the environment good for businesses to thrive. Okay. Once the environment is good, you will find businesses thriving and they will naturally get funding.
Oh, okay.
So is
this one I couldn't really.
So
go ahead.
Is this a case of putting the cart before the horse? Kind of.
It's almost like avoiding the big elephant in the room. Like we know that ease of doing business is a real issue in every sector. Like it's a real issue, such that if you bring in cash, you're just throwing away taxpayers' money to a very large extent, and that money is not as much as it used to be. So we can't really afford to be doing these things, and the government doesn't really have skill in tracking investments. Like, you get, if private equity comes on a transaction, they will follow you. They will make sure that they're co-signatories to the account. They will be checking your books. They will have someone on your board. They will have a skilled person. They will hire an auditor. But the government doesn't have those kind of skills, right? So it's almost like the taxpayers' money that we're even trying to gather as much as possible, right? These are not the kind of things that I honestly think we should be focused on right now. Ease of doing business, a good business environment, security, power. Do those ones, and then we can move forward.
Right, Ola, really quickly here, talking about ease of doing business. Now, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has disclosed that the Nigerian Ports Authority will soon commence the implementation of full automation and cargo tracking to promote ease of doing business across various ports in the country. Now, how much of a great development is this one?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. But, Nigerians, we've gotten very pessimistic. We're like, let's see it first. Because people have come and said, and all, because it just seems like everything is so complex to unravel as a nation, right? But if it actually does happen, part of the cost of goods in Nigeria, even for the things that we import, is the fact that you can have something land in August and you've not cleared it in September. And so in order for you to make money while your capital because your capital was tied down, you actually add that daily cost that you were paying there to your cost, the price you're selling, right? And then that's for example, Lagos has a port, it's easier. By the time you go towards Ondo, the prices become more because you now factor in transportation and blah, 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 and it just becomes a very massive mess, right? So if this really does happen, it would be something that we would remember this government for, because it has been an issue for years.
Well, we really, really hope that it's going to be something that solves a lot of problems, because we know the issues when it comes to cargo clearing, and it is a nightmare for a lot of people, a lot of businesses as well. And that's all the time we have this Monday evening on the Marketplace right here on Smooth 98.1. Thank you so much, Ola, for joining us. We're talking with Oler Oladele, the founder of the Money Wit Club. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow on the Business Hub.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right. Have a great evening. And thank you to all our listeners who sent in messages and were part of the Marketplace this evening. Marketplace makes a return next Monday at 5:15 p.m. Yes, meanwhile, the Smooth Drive will continue. So much more great music to come and so much more excitement. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.